Napoleon, the unrivaled master of Europe. Many remember his eventual defeat at Waterloo, but for nearly 10 years, he had an unmatched influence on Europe, as his enemies scrambled for ways to defeat him and put an end to this reckless product of the French Revolution. Despite the many coalitions formed against him, he almost always managed to come out on top. But how? How was this small Corsican man who managed to climb to the pinnacle of French society able to inflict such terrible losses on his enemies and retain his position as Emperor of the French? Unlike the other European powers, who largely stuck to the old military strategies developed by generals like Frederick II of Prussia, Napoleon always focused on trying to evolve his strategies. He would ensure that his tactics were not predictable and therefore always kept his enemies guessing, as they were often kept unaware of his plans. He developed the corps system, a highly different style compared to the rigid army formations of the time. It focused on maneuverability and speed, allowing Napoleon to always have the edge on his enemies and helped him win countless decisive victories, such as at Ulm and Friedland. This corps system proved to be so effective and ahead of its time that it would later go on to be emulated by virtually every army and is still largely in use today. He also heavily focused on dividing his enemy and concentrating his forces for a decisive attack. Although it wasn't unheard of, Napoleon's ability to use it in such an effective manner to split his enemies, who often had larger forces, and destroy them in detail, leveled the playing field and often even gave him a considerable advantage over them, helping him surround the Austrians at Ulm and win victories during the 6 Days campaign. Here's a little question for you. Who was the exile who managed to make his nation's army pledge loyalty to him by simply marching back home? Yes, it was Napoleon. Napoleon had exceptional skill in inspiring his troops and ensuring their morale was high. During his time as the general of the army of Italy, he famously loaded the cannons at Lodi alongside his troops. This demonstrated to the soldiers that Napoleon was not afraid to get his hands dirty and share in their struggle, thus greatly boosting their confidence in him. After all, he was a general and so didn't have to do it, but nevertheless still decided to, proving to them that he wouldn't order them to do something which he himself wasn't prepared to do, thus massively helping in boosting the army's morale. His troops loved him so much that despite them being surrounded and on the brink of defeat during the Battle of Leipzig, his mere presence was like an electric shock that gave them the confidence they needed to face the enemy, even if they were in a losing position. Another huge reason for his excellent leadership skills was his organizational ability. This could have been a whole new point by itself, but I think it fits in nicely with his leadership and how Napoleon was able to organize his army for campaigns. He was famously known to say, "An army marches on its stomach," showing he knew the importance of good logistics and keeping his army well fed and equipped. Many people point to his blunder in Russia, but despite that, there were also many examples which showed Napoleon's ability to coordinate supply lines and organize his army to ensure success on the battlefield, such as organizing his corps in such a way that they could quote-unquote live off the land through mobile supply columns, handing them the decisive speed that allowed them to win at Ulm and Austerlitz. Of course, I can't talk about organization and planning without mentioning Marshal Berthier, who played a crucial role in helping Napoleon, with Napoleon going as far as to say that he wouldn't have lost at Waterloo had Berthier been there. This is often overshadowed by his other traits, however this played as crucial a role as the others. His ability to adapt rapidly given the constantly changing circumstances, which is often the case in war, helped him quickly avoid losses and inflict crushing defeats on his enemies. This paired with his characteristic decisiveness allowed him to quickly pivot his plans in accordance with the situation and maintain control even in an event as volatile and unpredictable as war, especially against his more rigid enemies who were slow to react or alter their plans. This allowed Napoleon to gain decisive victories and expand his influence over Europe. There are so many other skills that Napoleon used that I could have discussed in this video, like his skill in propaganda and ability to sway public opinion, but I felt that these were the main three that allowed Napoleon to establish dominance over Europe and win momentous battles against his enemies. Let me know in the comments below other factors that perhaps contributed as much, if not even more, to the success of Napoleon.